here to launch first quarter of the season. Eagles team kickoff comes just after 8 p.m. Eastern.
Fade left side of the end zone. Caught! Oh, what a throw! Touchdown to Amari Cooper, and that throw was perfect.
I told him if he just would have kept running, he might have scored.
I love my teammates. You know, they have all the belief in me.
Had to make sure you didn't get bored on me out there. Don't get bored on me out there.
Another big play. I mean, that's as good as it gets.
He keeps it. Prescott walks the dog. Touchdown.
It's getting a little crazy now. I mean, Dak Prescott is on fire.
Well, look at the company that Dak keeps. Any of those names look familiar to you? Most pass touchdowns through the first 3 games of the season. Roger Staubach, Tony Romo, Don Meredith. Never heard of them. All right, let's head out as we find our way out to Frisco, Texas, that is, and our Jane Slater. Jane, injury news that the Cowboys have been concerned with. Anything good to report on that front?
I do have some glimmers of hope for the Cowboy fans. You know, Amari Cooper has been dynamic this season. He scored in each game this year. He had scored twice in the game against the Dolphins last weekend. Now, he was dealing with that left foot in training camp, and now this ankle situation has popped up. He's been limited in practice this week, but head coach Jason Garrett told us today that the MRI came back negative, and while he was limited in practice today, they are hopeful about his availability on Sunday, and that is good news when this offense truly needs to get going in the Mercedes Superdome. It is truly a magical place to be on the road, and you definitely don't want to get that Saints offense going and not be able to respond. As for that safety, Xavier Woods, some good news for him, a little surprising. He was dealing with an ankle injury as well, but he had a good practice on Wednesday. He was expected to do a little bit more in practice today, and so there is a possibility that he could play on Sunday. Again, a little bit unexpected. There was a thought that he could be out a little bit longer, but that would certainly be some good news for them when you consider some of the targets that the Saints have, especially a guy like Michael Thomas who can find that end zone pretty well.
And speaking of that offense, you talked to Saints head coach Sean Payton Wednesday. What is he saying about their approach with Teddy Bridgewater and Taysom Hill this coming Sunday?
Well, you know, ahead of that Seahawks game, he had said that he was going to go with both Taysom Hill and Teddy Bridgewater. We didn't see a lot of Taysom Hill, but he said that had to do with the fact that there wasn't with the way that the flow was going, and of course that the way that the game started evolving, that there just wasn't a chance to get Teddy Bridgewater, Taysom Hill in there. This week, he is part of the plan. They are also being a little bit more judicious with Taysom Hill. You know, this is a guy that does everything for them. He is such a weapon for them on special teams, tight ends group. They put him in at running back, I believe, and of course at quarterback. But given the fact that he is a true number 2 this week, they are making sure that he's not in all of those meeting rooms. So that gives you an indicator of their plans for him moving forward. And I think the good news for them, too, is this news, Drew Brees coming back this week, looking like he's trying to beat that 6-week timeline. He's expected back in New Orleans at the end of this week. Sean Payton said they hadn't really talked about it. This is getting ahead a little bit, but he anticipates that Drew will likely want to be on the sidelines with them and have that earpiece. He stayed on the West Coast while he was rehabbing after that hand surgery. But it was such an odd week for Teddy Bridgewater in that group anyways, because they stayed out there, and Payton said that they were prepping really for just focusing on that game, hitting the reset button a little bit, and really just doing all of this in a hotel room. This week, a little bit more of a return to normality, and they love the coolness that came from Teddy Bridgewater and that win over Seattle on the road.
And no doubt, because it doesn't happen too often, I would imagine a lot of Cowboy fans going to make that trip out to New Orleans for an exciting contest against the Saints. Free plug, by the way, Jeremy Davenport at the Ritz. You want some good jazz, a silky smooth voice, and a sweet trumpet. That's the spot on Saturday night. Thank you, Jane. Appreciate it. In just a minute, Saquon was spared surgery, but how long will the sprain have him sidelined? And first, with the Pack playing in primetime, let's get a blast from the past in the form of a Brett Favre feature when the Hall of Famer was wired up.
Pete Jackson. Just the other morning I had breakfast at Tracy Rocker's house. His mama brought out 15 flapjacks. He said, Mama, take back 5 of them flapjacks. I got to stay hungry for the Crimson Tide. Want me to wear those for you? Who's our head ref today?
Today is Tony Correnti. This is his rookie year.
Oh, we're going to give him some I got some advice for y'all. Take 2 weeks off, then quit. There's Mr. Miyagi up here on the team on the board. Oh, yeah. Wax on, wax off. Hungry.